Everyone, today I'll be building a small project around my Ryzen 2700X. I'll be using a B450 Tomahawk Max 2. It's from MSI, a GeForce GTX 6060. I know it's an old card, but it's what I have now. I'll be upgrading to my 1080 when I find a 1390 or a 3080 Ti on sale and at a normal price. Seasonic Focus Platinum 80 Plus. It has 850px and it's a fully modular, full quiet. Okay, I will be using HyperX. This is Samsung memory. Okay, so it's 3466 CL16. It's really overclockable, but not on Ryzen 2700X. And my case, which is an NZXT 4040H, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, let's get going. Okay, everyone. So these are the slots. So if you have a single stick, you put it in the second one from the CPU. If I have 2 sticks of RAM, you put it in the second and fourth from the CPU. And if you have all of them, you populate all of the sticks. Okay, so this is the mounted DRAM. As you can see, the second and fourth from the CPU is populated. So DMA, if you zoom in a little bit, you'll see DIMM MA1, MA2, MAB1. So first is 2 and 2. So you don't even need to open your manual. Next I will be mounting the CPU. The AMD boards don't have the CPU protection, so this position is unlocked. Okay, here is the corner, which is has a sign, so we pick up the CPU. Okay, as you can see, you try not to touch the pins, only pick it from the CPU block. And here down on the left side is the marking. Okay, even on the back of the CPU you see the marking where is on the side of the pins. You slot it into the socket. As you can see, it fits perfectly, no wobble at all. And just close the mounting bracket. Okay, next the case is open and clear. I'll be mounting the back I/O port and the motherboard. I need to remove the screws, which are already in place because I have used this case. And after I mount the motherboard, I usually like to mount the CPU cooler, especially if you have a heavy one like Noctua and others. I felt like if I don't mount it after it's set, all the movement of the motherboard and the crackling and the lack of space in the upper part or lower part, it gives a little bit of discomfort of handling the motherboard. And I've seen my motherboard under the NHD 15, it actually it gets concave on the part where the CPU is mounted, and you can see it from the side. So the I/O shield is mounted. Next I will be mounting the motherboard. So a small touch from NZXT. Here is the middle of the motherboard. It just has a pin there instead of a screw. and you are putting the motherboard in place and it does not run, and you can screw all the screws, as you can see they are all aligned, only to screw them. It's very nice attach from them. Every screw is in place. Next I'll be putting pea-size thermal grease on the CPU. As you can see, I have wiped it a little bit. I don't know why the quality is so bad. It's because of the light. Let's see if flash helps. Okay, so you can see it's Ryzen 2700X. For the CPU cooler, I'll be using AMD Zone cooler. I have just removed it from its cover. It has been used on this CPU. I know what it can do. All I need is to wipe the old thermal grease and apply some new paste on the CPU and mount the cooler. And this time, because of the position of the mounting, it will be in the right position. Because here is the mounting brackets. Good. This is the first time I've cleaned this CPU base, and as you can see, here are so many irregularities on the heat pipes, and there is actually a depression between heat pipes, so they are not really flat. And the CPUs, as you can see, it will stay from here to here, here, and here are the sides, so it will be covering. Some of the parts will be inside with the direct contact, some will be not. Let's mount this CPU cooler. As thermal grease, I have from Zero Therm High Performance ZT100. Okay, so the density, net weight, and I have around 1 gram or milliliter. Okay, and I also have this Russian crap. Really bad thermal grease. When I was using this and switched to this one, my CPU thermals dropped around 5 to 6 degrees. Very bad paste, and dries about in a year. Okay, so it's not really a pea size, but this is what I'll be mounting on. So I've mounted on top. I swiggle a little bit right to the side and then pull up the it won't close. This is the pull up. You need to lock. Why doesn't want to lock? Okay, so I pulled it. It's locked in place. As you can see, very little swivel. As you can see, the RAM does not interfere with the cooler. You actually can mount another 46 or 42 millimeter stick with the default AMD 2700X CPU cooler. This is my Seasonic Focus. It has the hybrid mode, which when you enable it, if it's under 60% load, it just doesn't care about the spinning up the fan. If it gets the load up, it will actually spin up the fan. It's brand new. This is the back of my case, as you can see. I will be connecting all my fans back here and see how they work, because they must be dead silent in this case. So the advantages of having a modular power supply: here are the CPU, got tangled. Okay, this is the PCI Express, 2 per rail. This is the CPU, and because it will be a small one, only 2 SATA and 1 IDE for the fans controller, and the big fat one which is here. So I found a part that I don't like. So this is basically, this part is the front buttons. This up top, where is it? This up top is the speaker, and here this is the trusted platform module, and this is the front. And in the book you can see which is which. So the power LED is up top, the power switch is also, the HDD LED is down, and reset is down, and the up top part is the speaker. Okay, so this is the back. A little bit of cable management. Maybe I will add some zip ties later, but I want to see a first boot up and then cable management. So this is the final touch. I have connected the real bottleneck. This is GTX 6060. It served me a good couple of years. Unfortunately, one of the fans, if I'm not mistaken, is not spinning, so it will be a little bit of overheating. The CPU power is connected, CPU fan is connected, the top 2 fans, exhaust fans and back, are connected to the NZXT hub. Down here, this is the front audio, the power button, LED button, and here is the, what's that? The front USB 2.0, USB 3.0, the SATA cable. I just threw in there 128 gigs. If I'm not mistaken, it's a SanDisk. It's just laying around there. I'll be connecting the power cord and HDMI cable and see if this thing boots up. And the moment of truth. Let's. Okay. That was anticlimactic. Let's try the other button. So one of these. Maybe I messed up the power button and reset. So on the left, that's the LED strip from the motherboard, which lights up all the ugly parts if you're not making your cable management. And the RAM sticks, which is pretty cool. I need to adjust my ISO on the camera, and the CPU cooler. The GPU, everything is working okay-ish. Let's see on the TV what shows up. So it booted. As you can see, up top is AMD Ryzen 2700X, The DDR is set for the default 2400 MHz. Everything is okay. Let's press F1. Okay. So let's click advanced. As you can see, the V core is 1.4, which is pretty high. I don't like this at all. Let's see the system status, date, time, OC. I'm used to down core performance boost. So everything is on auto. Let's set XMP. So the one profile is for 3000 MHz 15, 17, 17, 36, and the second profile is for 16, 18, 18, 36, 3466 MHz. Okay. Okay. Is there a scroll? Oh, I know this. The CPU core. I liked it on override, but not auto. 120 0. I think on 120 it runs 1.2 volts. It runs around, so the CPU ratio I will leave on auto for now, but on 1.2 it runs really well. The CPU at 4000 and 4100, no, 3900 megahertz. I don't really remember it. It's been only half a year, but I don't really remember these specs. Okay, so we have a memory Z here. So on default it has, okay. I will resume everything after I update, after I install a Windows on this thing, and I will be downclocking this to, let's see, 37. Okay, so it will be, or to be auto. I will leave it on. Let's leave it on auto. The BIOS is from 2020, the 9th, the September of 2020. Okay. This is the settings which I'm using. Let's install something. I wanted to mention one more thing. So MSI doesn't really list 2700X as compatibility for this motherboard, but as you can see, it works. So the system has booted up. I've had some problems with it, and the BIOS which the system came was H00, and this is H50. It is from May, and the default BIOS was from September last year, September, October. So after I updated, everything works fine. I even can overclock it very well. I also added an wireless adapter, which is from TP-Link. Everything is working in line. I set the voltage to manual, so V-core is on 125, so it's reporting 125.6. The stock cooler is doing very good job at this voltage, and the frequency is set to 3900. Okay. I have played with the motherboard for a couple of days. The MOSFETs, when I'm running at 1.25 volts at 3900, my CPU, the 2700X, they do not exceed 62 degrees, which is pretty good because I don't have any intake fans that are blowing currently. I have only 3 exhaust fans. One is 14 centimeters in one, and 2 or 12 centimeters. So it's only on exhaust, no intake whatsoever. Okay. I have also overclocked the memory, so they are running at 3466 CL16, and it's the same as the rated memory and maximum specified on the MSI site. So this board, and with 2000 Ryzen CPUs, support only 3466 MHz. Okay, let me show you a CPU Z. Okay, Ryzen 7 2700X is supported fully, despite it doesn't show in on official site, so big disappointment there. But at single core and at standby, the BIOS pushes 1.43 volts, so that's a little bit steep for my likings, and the temps can reach over 80 degrees, 80 or 90 degrees. It's not they did not throttle, but it's not a very comfortable temperature on the stock cooler. Okay. Right. Let's do some tests. First, the memory read. So the benchmarks has finished. I have tested all. First, let's check the temperatures. During this temperature, the MOS got, during this test, the MOS got to 56 degrees. The CPU has got to 72. Pretty decent speeds with the stock cooler and only exhausts. Okay. The CPU cooler, if I'm not mistaken, it runs at 3000 RPM, and it only reached the 2800 RPMs. Okay. The voltages are a little bit higher. Okay. The CPU package has reached 155 watts, and CPU VDD 177, so it's way above 105. So you can consider it a little bit of overclock. All cores are running on the same speed. Good. And the other tests I'll be showing you for a couple of seconds. Every of them you can pause if you like them, like to compare your own. Memory copy, memory latency. I've seen around 65 reaching on this CPU. CPU Queen. CPU works, photo works. CPU 7-zip. CPU IES. CPU SHA. FPU, St. Julia, the Mendel, Okay, next I will be showing the CPU Z. These are a little bit lower, especially the single threaded, and on auto I've seen this processor hangs around for 4000, if I'm not mistaken, megahertz, and I underclocked it a little bit to 3900, so it's 444 and 4792, and the Cinebench score is around 10,000. You could get better if you overclock it a little bit. Okay, let's get into the BIOS and show you what I have modified to overclock it. Okay, so this is the BIOS. Nothing else changed after I updated the BIOS. So it's the H50. This is the latest BIOS. I usually use it on advanced. On XMP choose the second one. And here, as you can see, I have set OC Explorer mode expert. The CPU ratio I have changed to 39. The base clock is locked at 100. The XMP is on profile 2. DRAM frequency you can select others, but now it's at 3466, so this is the maximum this CPU supports on this motherboard. And I don't think this is this sticks, despite having the LEDs and good CL rate. I don't think these DIMMs are very good because they are from SK Hynix, and I thought from the MSI side that they are Samsungs. So you can memory retract count to 2. You can set them if everything is wrong. Before the BIOS update, I would set my CPU frequency, and after the restart the computer will lock up on black screen, only with pushing the power off button and resetting from the motherboard the 2 pins near the battery to reset the BIOS to its defaults. This is the voltage, so it's a little bit higher than it should be, or what I set. And as you can see, the DRAM voltage is also at 1.37, 36. I think this is because the Infinity Fabric can run at lower voltages. I could try to run it lower, but for now I'm very pleased. And one more thing, here at the settings I have changed the advanced, no, not advanced, where is it? So here at advanced CPU configuration, SVM mode to enable, because I usually use VMware and I'm running virtual machines, and you need to enable this. I don't know, on all my motherboards from AMD, this is set to disabled by default, so you need to enable after each update, BIOS updates. As you can see, the BIOS build date, it's pretty recent because we are on 14th of June and this is on 13th of May. Okay, so this is my build. I will upgrade my this build GPU to GTX 1080 after the current prices will get lower, and I will buy myself a 3080 Ti or a 3080, but I'm not giving right now 2,500 euros on a brand new GPU, which it must cost around 700 euros or maybe less. And in my country, 1080s are a little bit higher price than one 3080 Ti. Okay, thank you for watching. Like if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, and have a nice day.